when I got my first wisdom tooth pulled, they had to break it into a bunch of pieces, and my dentist wouldn't let me keep it. And I was just like,
but dentist, you don't understand. I have a little man in a jar I gotta beat up.
yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Lore Boys, the hardest podcast to listen to based on our reviews. My name is James Miller. Who else is here, guys?
I'm Ethan. I'm your summon. I'm Echo Mist. I'm a Misty Echo. Go get him, Matt. Catch him.
I'm Pete, and I'm not the gray ghost that Ethan is. I'm the orange one, like the guy you summon in the arena.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say you were Slimer from Ghostbusters. I was going to get super scared. That guy's super scary.
Boo.
We got to do a quest line to summon Pete, and we find Ethan in a catacomb, so that's good to know.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I do confuse Pete with Slimer because Pete loves gobbling hot dogs and giving Dan Aykroyd blowjobs. Those are two things he famously loves.
I haven't seen the movie, but I think those are two different ghosts.
All right, demonetized on YouTube already.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. Blowjob, fuck, come.
All right. So we are coming back with an Elden Ring episode. There are some other episodes that we've done back in 2022 that are still very relevant. So if you're interested, we do have just Elden Ring lore, which gives you the base of just how things started with the Golden Order, the Elden Ring, everything. We have Ranna and Ranna, which we'll learn about the Shattering. Then we have Miquela and Malenia, which you learn a lot more about Miquela and Malenia leading up to the DLC and where they were before the Shattering. We also have an episode on the Frenzied Flame, but all of those you don't need to listen to understand the DLC today. I do have a lot of stuff prepared to catch us up on what we need to know, but if you do want us to hear more, we got it.
Yeah, that's your base. We're giving you a tip today, but the tip is what you want to be spending the time with anyway. That's really where you want to go. Sure, you want to go base to tip, but it's perfectly acceptable to go tip to base.
The nerves of the podcast are in the tip.
Yeah, yes, exactly. You got a hawk tool and just get into that podcast. Right?
Take your AirPod and hold it to the frenulum on your penis. Much more enjoyable.
Oh God!
I straight up had the thought. I was like, no, I shouldn't. Like after that, like as a guy with AirPods.
Oh boy!
It would probably turn on noise cancellation if you got them both on either side. That's how it activates. That'd be interesting.
So we might have a couple new patrons here. So if you go to patreon.com/loreboys, you can get access to bonus content among a bunch of other bonuses.
So actual bonus lore this week.
A kiss a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mostly we talk shit. Sometimes, like this week, we give you some bonus lore, which I won't spoil. But
we got really good Deus Ex bonus lore, and Jamie and Peter were fighting a bunch on the podcast, so that's exciting. That's most of them, honestly. I'm usually browsing the internet, and Jamie and Peter are fighting about something. It's great content.
He misunderstood me. That's a difference. I explained it. He's just a mortling. He didn't know better.
Okay, dude.
But welcome and thank you to Soporific Symbol and Daniel Johnson. Thank you both very much for joining. I hope
two great names for two completely different reasons. You know.
All right. Yeah. So frenulum aside,
Daniel Johnson.
Yeah. Let's get into some of the meat of the lore here. So this will be a summary of our first Elden Ring episode. I've boiled it down to just what we need to know. At first, the world was chaos. All creatures were at war. And then an outer god known as the Greater Will sends a golden star down to the lands between, the setting of Elden Ring. And inside the star was the Elden Ring.
Cool.
And that's an artifact that eventually starts the Age of Grace. Queen Marika rose to power, along with her first husband, Godfrey, the Elden Lord, who's this man who has a lion summon. Then they make a bunch of babies as a backup plan to preserve the Golden Order, which is their godhood, their reign.
They make Gorbo, they make Gerba, they make Gruba, they make
Marika.
Rima.
Marika and Godfrey lead a war effort, more or less won over all the lands between. Erdtrees start to bloom all over, which are these like Yggdrasils of light that you see in the game all over the place. And the gods and demigods of the Golden Order ruled. And they have a bunch of kids. I do have the family tree and stuff, so if we need to dive into it later, but I'm not going to worry about it now because it'll just serve to confuse us at this point.
It's also been covered, but is available on Discord for patrons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any questions so far?
It's also in either Italian or Spanish. I don't know which. But I like that detail. Or the subtitle is in Italian or Spanish for your family trip. Join the Patreon if you want access to the episode picks.
Yeah. Any questions so far? This makes sense.
Just quickly to clarify, the Greater Will is the god, and the Elden Ring is its representative on Earth that is inside Marika, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And the Elden Lord at this point is actually Godfrey, but it's controlled by Marika.
Yes.
And Marika also has like a summon who's like this big wolf that is like on her side, right? And he has the big lion. So next step is in comes Ranny. So Marika has two forms, is a god that can be either a man or a woman, and likes to fuck. So had sex with Radagon, who is Marika's male form, has sex with Ranna, the Moonlight Queen, or the person that you respec at in game. Has a baby named Ranny, who's also known as Ranna. They're the same person in the game. Gets confusing. But what's important is Randy steals a fragment of the Rune of Death from Marika's Shadow Wolf Malekith, who you do get to fight as a boss. And he uses the Rune of Death in the actual boss fight. Malekith, the Black Blade. And they kill Godwyn, the first Golden Boy son of the Golden Order, Godfrey and Marika's son. And now the Rune of Death ends up being fragmented. All of the Golden Order are no longer completely immortal. They could be killed. So Marika, she's like, fuck, what do we do? So she takes the Elden Ring, she shatters it, and she gives a piece to all of her kids. Like, if you can't destroy the whole Elden Ring, then the Golden Order's still doing fine.
My bloodline will never be stopped by the cheesiest builds now that we're vulnerable to just getting DPS down by bleed.
Yeah. So now they break it into 7 or now 8, but 7 at the time.
Sorry. It's Marika who broke it up and gave it to her children.
Yeah.
So Marika believes in the Golden Order.
She absolutely believes in the Golden
Order.
They're
called
That's her main
Empyreans,
thing.
right? Like the gods that harbor an outer god, they're called Empyreans?
No. So outer gods are one thing. That's like the god of the Scarlet Rot. That's the Frenzied Flame god. The Scarlet Mother, who's like the Mohg blood one. So those are not Scarlet Mother, the Formless Mother, sorry.
The Umbral Serpent, I think, is a new one.
Scarlet Serpent, Scarlet Fire, Scarlet Rot, Scarlet Mother.
Yeah. Don't make it more confusing, please. It's so hard. It's so hard.
I don't think I could.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Scarlet Rot, and it's also known as the Scorlet Rot, but you don't find out until it tells you its real name.
You have outer gods who you never actually really meet in a game, but you meet vessels of. You have demigods and you have gods. Gods have to be Empyreans. To become a full-fledged god, you have to be born of one god. We joked the last time, if you have 2 Christmases, you can't be a full god. You can't have 2 parents. You have to have 1 parent.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're all divorced, so that's why you would have 2 Christmases.
So just to make things clearer for myself. So Ranny, Radagon's / Marika's daughter, it was a betrayal to steal the Black Rune and give it to what's his face to kill the son.
Because Radagon and Ranna, so Radagon, Marika's other half, or themselves, went out with Ranna, right? But being them, did not stay together with Ranna. Had a bunch of kids and then fucked off. Deadbeat dad.
Right.
Randy's Randy's like, Golden Order, not so cool. My mom, who's like a moon queen, got fucked over by the Golden Order. So fuck the Golden Order.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
So she goes and gets the Rune of Death to be destroyed, which means they're now all vulnerable to actually dying in the Night of the Shattering. Cool. And Marika, to preserve the Elden Ring, not to have it all in one place where it's vulnerable, shatters it into these pieces called Great Runes. So if you have a Great Rune, it doesn't mean you're an Empyrean, but it means that you're at least a demigod.
Okay.
The power of a god in your hand.
Yes, but the only like real Empyreans are like Malenia and Miquela, who were born of Radagon and Marika, because they're born one god because they're the same god, but they both have curses because they were born. It turns out if your mom's also your dad, you're born with a curse.
That does make sense.
Yeah, which we'll get into a bit later. But the Elden Ring gets shattered into 7, now 8.
Malenia's hard boss, right?
Malenia, yeah, but I didn't mention Malenia yet.
We were just talking about Malenia and Miquela.
You said her name.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes. Malenia hard boss, more on Malenia later.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Even with, because these are all named after George R. R. Martin's initials, right? So it's GRRM, and 2 of those initials are the same. So you get a lot of names that are really like similar and confusing. So do call me out. Thank you. So Elden Ring goes to Godric the Grafted, our jumped up country bumpkin. A Ranna, Queen of the Full Moon, who is the mom who got divorced and is trapped in a library. Star Scourge Radagon, who is in Caelid, and he's like literally holding up the stars with gravity magic, and has a little horse named Leonard, who he studied gravity school so he doesn't crush his favorite horse.
Yeah, I remember that being very cute.
Yeah. Then we have Morgott. He's like gnarled. He's one of the Omen kids. 2 of her kids just came out all fucked up, and one of them is
he the guy I watched you fight on stream the other day?
Yeah. Very horned. Very horned.
Horny. I believe it was a one shot. I believe it was a first try.
It was a one shot.
There you go.
It was a good
twitch.tv/George R. Martin James.
Perfect. Then we have Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy, big old flame serpent. Mohg, Lord of Blood, who's going to be important in this one. Malenia, Blade of Miquela. And then finally, our last rune that we found out in the DLC, Miquela also has a great rune himself.
Yeah.
So there's 8 pieces that we know of. There could be more, who knows, because we keep finding more kids of Marika. But okay, any questions so far?
I mean, maybe you're going to talk about it. Miquela was the boy in the cocoon, right?
Yeah. Next, the next recap is Malenia and Miquela's story. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're good so far?
I'm good. I want to talk a lot more about the little horse Lenny who just wants to pet the stars, but we can move on.
Right? He's very cute. So quick
turns off his gravity magic at the riverside, just crushes him to death.
That's right, Lenny. You're gonna pet the stars.
A quick recap on Malenia and Miquela. So they're born of one god, but they're the same person. So it wasn't a great thing because both of them were born with a curse. They're Empyreans, but they're born with a curse. Malenia
it's like the Habsburg jaw or like the allergies, the shitty immune system somebody actually inbred would have, but it's so much worse since your parents are the same person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Malenia was cursed to have scarlet rot, and Miquela was cursed to be a child forever. We made a lot of jokes last time about Malenia's different appendages that she had made for herself because her arms were like rotting off, but she has like scarlet knights who would rush and put a new type of arm on for her. And how like fucked up their lives.
A pit crew? Is she like Lightning McQueen? Did we already say that?
No, that's new. That's new.
Okay, Kurt Chow.
It was also
hard. It was also
okay,
pretty funny.
I mean, you've modded Thomas the Tank Engine into Skyrim. You can mod Lightning McQueen as Malenia.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say Miquela because it's impossible to remember the names. But
the Scarlet Race.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then another thing that was funny is that imagining Radagon and Marika as being your parents, but never seeing them in the same room. Like when Dad goes up, Mom shows up. It's so weird, right?
You ever notice that Dad really looks like Mom with a fake mustache?
Yeah. So Malenia really good with her sword, and Miquela has a silver tongue. He can talk anyone into anything.
Okay.
The shattering happens. Malenia goes to fight with Radagon and Caelid, and their war was a stalemate until she went the nuclear option. She has the Scarlet Rot goddess within herself. She becomes a vessel and goes full on, blooms this like flower and makes Caelid, now when you go there today, is a complete red wasteland, and that's because Malenia went full nuclear on Radon. And when you meet Radon, he's kind of like a zombie eating flesh because he got so scarlet rotted by his sister or half sister.
And he, is it a half sister when like there's no other parents' genetics in there, right? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because Radon's part. Ranala is his mom.
Yeah,
and Radagon's his dad. So the Ranala half would be separate from the American.
Okay, so he's not inbred at all.
I would say Radon is her half brother, 100%, no problem.
Yeah,
it's right. Malenia, his half sister. I don't know, because she doesn't have another dad.
It's a point. It's like
it's all his mom.
Sister.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
100% of Malenia's DNA is shared by Radon.
Right, but she's missing some of Radon's DNA from the Ranala half.
Absolutely. I do think Radon is her half brother. I think that's fair to say, but I don't even remember.
I don't know.
I do remember what I was going to say. Malenia's second phase is her scarlet period phase, right?
Right, and in the game when you fight her, that's the third time she blooms, and she fully becomes the vessel of the Scarlet Rot. So whenever you fight her second phase, you're fighting a goddess. You're fighting the full power of the Scarlet Rot.
So when you said just 20 minutes ago that we've never met one of the outer
You're a
gods.
vessel. You're a vessel. So when she's beaten, the Scarlet Rot hides away again.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't really one-on-one face the Scarlet Rot, but it is the full power. So
have you fought her prior to going to the DLC or no?
I haven't had the chance yet. No.
Okay.
I haven't had the chance. But I have seen the fight. And yeah, so that happens. She goes nuclear. She gets carried back to the Halig tree. If you'll remember, Miquela grew the Halig tree with his own blood. It's an Erdtree sapling that he grew with his blood of an Empyrean. And it made this really powerful healing tree. He made something called like a gold, an unallied gold needle where he could actually fend off outer gods with this. He was trying to save his sister. He wasn't able to fully save her.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So his plan was, hey, Malenia, you go off, you fight during the shattering. Someone's got to handle Radon. It's not going to be me. I'm going to cocoon in my own Halig tree. And we'll meet up. By the time I'm done my cocoon, I'll be a full-grown adult. I'll be a full-grown god, and I'll be able to heal you. So just don't do anything crazy out there.
That's like the only biology textbook he had available was just about butterflies. He's like, should work for people.
Yeah.
And Scarlet Rot butterflies are like totally a theme with Malenia too, which is funny.
Yeah, she has like both her wings are entirely made of like two different swarms of butterflies, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Don't do anything crazy out there, like fight a vagabond wearing no clothes but a loincloth carrying like a giant wooden club, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Miquela is hiding out in the Halig tree, just waiting for the shattering to pass, waiting for his own godhood. And Mohg, the Lord of Blood, comes by, takes the cocoon, brings it down to Mohg's kingdom underneath, and starts doing some fucked up blood god shit to it. You might remember he took it to his bedchambers, his little half-brother's body, in the name of the formless mother.
So he's his half-brother? I don't know now.
I still don't agree with you. Like, I see the way that you're saying it, but if you're missing one parent's genes, even if you're 100% of one parent's genes, if you're missing the second parent's genes, then you're not 100% related.
Aren't they both one? No, I think they're both 100% related because Mohg is an omen, but both his parents are Marika and Radagon, right?
Mohg is Godfrey and Marika. So it would be missing the Godfrey.
So anyways, half brother again. Okay.
Almost through the preamble. I was just
trying to have fun.
Okay, sorry.
Can I just say, I know you're trying to get through some lore, but I just want to say Mohg as a name, I picture that guy a Pokemon. All he can say is Mohg. He just walks around going like Mohg, right? If you got a name like Mohg, right, you got to be a dumbass.
Bunger.
No offense to any Mohgs out there, but
yeah, you might be a little more right than you even know. So
well, you might be
looks
right
like Miquela.
If you want to fuck your half brother in his cocoon, you might be right.
Full brother. Damn it.
Yeah. Miquela seems like the victim here, but we get to learn a lot more about Miquela as time goes on. So, Mohg's master plan was to become a consort, make Miquela the vessel for the formless mother, because only Empyreans can become a vessel for a god. His sister became vessel for Scarlet Rot.
Right.
He was doomed to be the vessel for the formless mother. So Mohg is just like keeping him in the ground, doing blood god shit, trying to trigger godhood from who he worships. And then once Miquela ascends, Mohg would become his consort, and they get to just do happy blood god shit for the rest of their lives.
Nah.
Me
and Curvy Mommy.
Up to date. Sorry, I was trying to keep us really on track. I'll give you guys more space to have fun here. I just wanted to get through the preamble because there's so many names, so many things there.
Yeah.
There's two names because they all sound identical.
They're all the
same.
So I do just want to clarify. So Malenia and Miquela, they were like the last born of Marika's children, right? Like she did litters, right? Of God, like the G's, the R's, then the M's. I'm mainly wondering,
I don't even know if we have that data of who was born when. I know Miquela's the older brother to Malenia, but that's all I know.
What's fun is that you recited it in that order, and this family tree you've provided has it in that top to bottom order kind of thing. Like they're kind of overlapping a little bit, but maybe it's just a coincidence.
I'm not sure.
The one other thing, and I'm sure I've talked about this before, and you didn't mention her at all, so I'm sure there's a reason for it, but I'm going to be that asshole. Who's Melina, and why is she important at all?
So you don't have a maiden whenever you start the game.
What? Melina, yes, I do. Shut up. Shut up, dude. I'm plenty of maidens, man. There's this female version of you that I'm kind of talking to right now, so.
Melina plays the role of your maiden, and in the base game she also is kind of scorned by her mother. It's theorized
like
that
Firekeeper or whatever.
One of the ways to finish the game is she lets you burn her body with the fire giant's fire to burn down the Erdtree to get back at Mommy Dearest.
Gotcha.
But we won't need her today. There is bonus lore about her. She might be Mesmer's sister, who Mesmer will meet later. And I didn't want to bring up his name yet, but we'll meet him later. Yeah. But yeah, that's how she kind of fits into things.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So Shadow the Erdtree. What the hell's that, huh?
No, we can dick around now, finally.
Yeah. All right, guys, you can relax. At ease, soldiers.
Let my gun out, knock over my mic.
How a Erdtree make a shadow when a Erdtree make all the light?
True. That's a good question.
Right? Light bulb can't cast a shadow.
Yep. The first photo I think that I provided,
vampires, the Portuguese, all things that can't cast shadows.
You know what's fun? Candle flames can cast shadows.
Really?
Because they're technically a solid. Isn't that wild?
Interesting.
I don't know if that's true. I think Vsauce told me that recently in a YouTube short.
Vsauce here. Yeah. So the second photo that I provided sums up the land of shadow pretty well. It's kind of like a yellowy area. You can see.
Is it a new zone, or is it like a World of Warcraft Cataclysm where they redid old zones?
Very much a new zone.
Okay.
The Land of Shadow is what it's called instead of the Lands Between. It's directly opposite to the Lands Between. The big tree you see is the shadow of the Erdtree. Instead of
it's like you're underneath. I got you.
I do love the skybox that I've seen in some of the gameplay where it also looks like it has, like a big, I think it's called like a 4-post bed, right? Where it has like the canopy on it.
Where it has 4 posts. Yeah.
The 4 posts hanging from, but it's also got like a canopy hanging off of them, like the sheets going down that kind of billow. It does kind of have like bed sheets hanging off it. I think it looks very pretty, very cool.
It's more magic and ethereal. Like it says directly opposite, maybe right underneath. It's kind of hard to say if it even takes up space. It's like very much like a magic thing.
It's the Shadow Realm. Kaiba spent some time there. I'm familiar. Don't worry about it.
So the picture that I sent you of the map that's just after the family tree, you can see a map of the base game, and you can see right where there's a cloud in the middle. It seems to sort of be underneath the Erdtree that's just above. It's theorized that it's there because you can go to. I actually found this in game, place in the DLC called the Suppressing Pillar, and it mentions how central the location is and like how all the souls kind of wash up here. So they think middle of ocean. Maybe it's not even upside down underneath. Maybe it's an island that we just can't see the scale of. But it's theorized to be in that.
That would be the complete opposite, right? Where you had Middle Earth, and the complete opposite is Middle Water, right?
Yep. I never been to Middle Water.
Middle Water, Minnesota.
I would have loved if like that cloud moves out of the way and the last boss is just one of those like badly drawn 14th century sea monsters, like with the water shooting out of its forehead.
Oh, it's fucking Scylla.
Yeah, the shadow tree is called the Skadu tree,
which is so.
That's
funny.
that. I mean, that just sounds
silly
like
name.
That sounds like katakana, right? Like that sounds like they just took the Japanese word for it. They probably call it that Skada tree in Japanese.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That sounds like me. I don't know if that's true. Pete's giving me a very confident, oh, okay. Like I know what I'm talking about. But
as if I could be just like a man who's seen 2.5 hours of anime in his life. I was gonna stop you right there, Ethan.
He thinks the only normal names are Jack and Kelly. So
yeah, Vandrak is not a normal name. I don't care how many Jack's little boys you show me.
I mean, I guess listen to the bonus content.
Figure out what that means.
Yeah. I think it's better without context. So yeah, the Scatter Tree, this whole new mechanic in the game. Basically, you go into the Land of Shadow, and even if you're playing like a level 300 character that you've been grinding in the game since it came out, you're going to get one shot by a lot of shit in this world. And the way that you scale up and level again, how they kind of make it
on Steam.
in review vomit is you get something called like Scatter Tree fragments. And when you collect these Scatter Tree fragments, you turn them in at bonfires to give you damage resistance and extra damage done. So the new
experience points 2.0, if you will.
The new I did it with no gear is I did it with no Scatter Tree fragments,
which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I do like it when DLCs do this. Like we talked about it on the bonus, how it's on sale now. Like in Cyberpunk, the relic tree that you get is just like a new skill points that you use to level up, and it just like it just makes your end game character stronger again. Because as somebody who's done the DLCs for Souls games, generally speaking, when you're on New Game Plus with a guy who is strong as fuck, it is too easy, because I don't know how easy it is to balance something like for an end game character in that sense, other than having a new level up system, which I think is a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Like canonically, you can say that this is like the land of the dead. The powers that you practiced there just like aren't the same here. You get a lot of power from grace and the Erdtree. You trade your souls for grace or your runes for grace. So you can say the Scatter Tree is a different kind of power, and that's why you have
there's no grace here, buddy.
Yeah. So yeah, the Lands of Shadow have graves and death everywhere. There's an item called the Spirit Grave Stone, and you can see a quote that says, "In the places to where the dead have been brought since antiquity, the oldest gravestones turn into spirits and then fade away." So it could be the place where you're meant to go when you die. Although Marika's been messing with death and tarnished ones and all these things, or people just keep having to live through lives and die and be brought back. So how it actually works now is unclear, but this could have been the underworld before.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is under.
I guess. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
We can say Lore Boys Canon.
Yep.
It's just underneath.
Mm-hmm. And the map on the southern shores, the map of the southern shores, like when you go pick up your map for each area to see it on the map kind of thing, some of them have descriptions. And this one says there are many stone coffins that arrive from unknown origins. So these coffins just keep showing up.
Yeah, dead guy's got no return address. This is highly unorthodox.
I mean, it's been a while now since I have, but for the entire time I've lived in this house, so 3 years now, coming up on, I just receive parcels from that are addressed to it, like a different name every single time, always this address. I don't know if like the last person to live here was like a drop shipper or something, but it's always just like the cheapest made in China, like plastic. And I want to stress plastic, like plastic hats, like they're filmy in plastic inside.
Huh.
And I just imagine how much worse that would be if it was a 300-pound tombstone.
Yeah.
Shipped from China that somebody was planning on reselling here.
Yeah, so to even enter the Lands of Shadow, in the base game, you need to first beat Radagon and Mohg. So Radagon, the gravity magic guy who loves his horse, and Mohg, the perverted blood god who diddles his brother. Yeah. And these are canon reasons in the DLC story. Like, you have to beat these guys because they both will be involved in one way or another in our final story here.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Souls DLCs always have a requisite boss that you have to kill, right? Like, it's not always relevant to the story. It's kind of nice that it is in this case. It's usually just like a be this level-ish sort of like area in those other ones, right?
One little thing I'd like to show off. If you guys go back to my 2022 Malenia and Miquela episode, I gave a 3-point argument slideshow at the end of why the first DLC should be Miquela content, and it totally is. So
I definitely doubted that because the Souls DLCs up until this point have been barely relevant to the game that they're attached to. I was pleasantly surprised that this one actually followed up the story as like an epilogue. Like, I was really disappointed in Dark Souls 3's DLC when you go to the Ringed City and you just fight a bunch of guys and then a new character who was introduced in the first fucking DLC. It's like completely detached from the base game.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with Peter. He has like 100 hours in the Pinocchio game, so he's probably right.
Okay. I thought you weren't listening to us fight, huh?
Yeah.
I just want to get you guys going again so I can browse the Steam sale some more.
Ooh, wait, buy Lives of P, idiot. Put 100 hours into that.
Yeah. So you have to get good and beat the bosses. Part of the reason people are review bombing are, yes, the current newbie DLC bosses are really hard. But also, if you just bought the DLC and you hadn't beat Mohg yet, who is very much an endgame boss, Radagon's a little easier to beat. There's a lot of summons you can use on him, but Mohg, you kind of do need to get good. I didn't play DLC day one. I played it day two because I had to play more of the base game to beat Mohg, kind of thing. But yeah, you have to do that. I showed you a picture of this is how you get into the DLC. It's the cocoon, the first picture I showed with the limp hand coming out of it. And that's
okay. Well, you say
Miquela's
this is how
body.
I get into the DLC, but I'm not climbing in that cocoon with the limp hand coming out of it. So
you just have to grab up to your stepbrother, dude. You got to get into his cocoon.
Oh, you got to give him a props. You got to give him the what is it? The Predator hand clasp. Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
just like your hand and then the withered hand coming out of a cocoon on the other side.
Yeah. Considering his situation,
you son of a bitch.
Considering his situation, when you said Predator handshake, I was like, "What are you talking about with this guy?"
No.
Peter, why don't you have a seat?
Thousands of years
have
old.
A seat. Yeah. This
looks
boy
like
who's been living in a cocoon just looks like a child.
We had our decoy pose of being a young boy in a cocoon on the internet.
And let's take a look at your backpack here. Oh, syringe filled with a golden liquid. What's that? Do you mind explaining that? No, that was his. He brought it. I don't know.
Unalloyed gold metal to meet up with a young boy in a cocoon? We were just talking.
I just wanted to play Fusion Frenzy on the original Xbox.
Yeah. Mohg, even though he acts like a PDF file here, he's not so bad. We'll learn later on. He still sucks, but yeah, we'll learn more about that. You'll meet a few new characters.
You're saying I didn't do it, right?
Oh, we'll see.
Innocent until proven guilty. Is that the
yeah? I think
uncancel Mohg.
Mohg is more innocent than Dr. Disrespect at this point, I think. But yeah, you'll meet a few new characters in game. I'll mention a few here just because it'll be relevant to people who are playing the game because you meet them pretty quickly. But the most important part is just think of their really different backgrounds because they're working together here. So don't try and get. I'm not going to provide a picture of all of them. Don't look up a picture of all of them. It won't help the story. Yeah,
they're all different young boy gods. Just like don't Google their pictures. It'd be crazy.
I am picturing, just for the listeners at home who might be like me and have no experience with any of this, I'm picturing this like the Olympics because they're all from different backgrounds and they're all coming together for one thing. So I'm picturing
those are the
it like
5 Elden Rings, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The 5 differently colored Elden Rings. Of course.
Why is that one black? Don't think about it.
So the gamers will recognize Needle Knight Lita. This is one of Miquela's knights. Someone named Hornsent, a refugee from a ruined area called Belarus or Ballarat in the area. We'll talk a little bit more. I'll get the name right.
Is a real place.
I know it's close to Belarus, and that's why I keep saying it that. So I'll tell you the real name in a second. Sir Ansbach, he's a former servant of Mohg. Freya, a Redmane, so she was underneath Radagon. So all these people from like different godhoods and different places, one even born in the shadow of the Erdtree. They're all working together to try and meet up and save Miquela. And they keep calling him Kindly Miquela. Kindly Miquela. And every time you talk to everyone has just wonderful things to say about him.
Needle Knight does sound like people are bullying a knight. You know what I mean? like you've got your
like
lance as a knight, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like Needle Dick. Like you've got your lance as a knight, and this guy just has like a particularly thin one, and everyone's like calling him Needle Knight. Like,
yeah. It probably comes from the unalloyed gold needle that scares away gods, and needle knights are.
That little boy's got a needle.
To you, to me, it's a needle. To you, it's Slimer from.
No, he loves Slimer.
I thought he was scared of him. But yeah, all these people are working together, and it's really weird that they're doing this. But yeah.
Are we going to find out why? And I'm only asking not because, like, FromSoft does this, where sometimes they'll give you something and you just they'll specifically tell you something and then never explain why, right?
Yeah. They'll have a change of heart pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of it is just like, damn, that's a lot of concepts, eh? Here are the credits. And it's what?
What do you think of our half-finished thoughts, huh? Pretty good, right?
This will get some podcasts some downloads by finding a through line. Yeah. Me, the Needle Knight, just trying to stitch together a story here.
Yeah.
So that's happening. We have all these NPCs that are trying to find Miquela. You kind of meet them as you're going through the early DLC. And then Queen Marika, we find out, has really strong ties to this world. She was born here. So
in the Shadowland.
In the Shadowlands, yeah.
In the Elephant Graveyard, where Simba was never supposed to go.
Yeah.
Yes. The Land of Shadow is where
that
Marika
first Hyena fight will just one-shot your in-game character, dude.
Yeah. Well, it starts by killing your dad, and then it kills your character.
A side note, I'm not going to talk about this boss, but the first boss is like a dancing lion in the game. And
he just can't wait to be king.
Yeah. But somebody data mined this, and there are 2 guys in the lion suit underneath if you take off the skin on top.
That is... I like the artists is just based on the trailers and what I've seen Jamie stream. The artists and the boss designers were given a blank check, and there is some crazy looking shit. But I do think the first boss of like the Chinese New Year dancing like costume lion is such a good idea that I could confidently say has never been done in a video game. A bunch of cool knights, fine. The dancing, the parade lion is so original. It's so cool.
And it's so hard to like feel his movement too, because he has so many like moving parts and there's like lightning going on. I beat him 3rd try.
Yeah.
So not too bad, but he one-shot me my first time. So I went from like really scary to like, okay, I'm kind of figuring this out to, okay, I got this, which felt like a perfect Elden Ring fight.
I thought he might have been another like grafted dude where like, cause there's very visibly 2 torsos at least inside the costume where one is controlling the mouth and has like human legs and whatnot. You can see his body when you get critical hits. I watched a video of a guy like doing a challenge run this before we recorded, but there's just a second set of human legs in the back. Like the extended horse costume, basically, right?
Someone removed the costume in the data mine, and there's literally just a guy on all fours running in the back.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that's what I thought it was like going to be grafted, because like grafting people together was a big plot plot point in the base game, right?
Especially for the first boss in that one, so maybe the first boss in the DLC, it would all be,
or just human centipeded together would have been just like, oh, the data miners are going to love this guy eating another guy's ass in the Chinese dragons.
Yeah. Anyways, that was just an aside because I thought it was funny. But we go on back to Queen Marika, who is we find out is born in a place called Shaman Village, which you can actually go to in the DLC. And I provided a photo. It's the pretty area with it looks like yellow flowers all around. It's almost bathed in gold.
What is a seriously normal name for a place in Elden Ring?
Shaman Village, where all the druids live, you know?
Yeah. It is very nice, yeah.
You can find a spell called Minor Erdtree and a golden braid of Queen Marika's hair in this area. So this is how we know that she lived there. Okay. It says, Marika bathed the village of her home in gold, knowing full well there was no one to heal.
Just cast Minor Erdtree, do you use a fake ID?
When you cast Minor Erdtree, does the person you're casting it on have to guess if it's a mine or an Erdtree?
Yeah,
minor
Erdtree.
Another piece also says Marika never returned home again, so we know she came from there, but didn't come back.
She's off to the big city to have sex with herself, dude. Come on.
Yeah. So to kind of find out what happened here, we do find another mention of shamans in the game. But they're in reference to Belurat City, so not Belarus, but Belurat.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's where you find the horn scent. So the omens in our world with like twisted horns and stuff, that would be seen as like holy and good in Belurat City. Like there's a lot of horny people, and horny is fun and cool there.
Right. Okay.
It's cool to be horny.
Yeah, Mohg and Morgott wouldn't be shunned and thrown underground. They would have been like celebrated if only they could live in this area.
Okay,
yeah. We actually lock up attractive blonde boys in our basements here.
We do blood experiments on them. Maybe I'm jumping ahead, but so you said Marika is from here, right?
Marika is from Shaman Village, not Belurat. Yeah,
but from the Shadowlands. Do we know? Yep. And again, maybe I'm jumping ahead. Do we know if others are from here, or is like Godfrey is from the Lands Between for sure, right?
We don't really. I think Marika is the only confirmed.
I get a real Lands Between vibe from Godfrey, I'll say.
Because he's a tarnished, maybe he's from outside the fog wall that you cross at the beginning.
Yeah, well, he's a cuck, right? He was cucked by his wife, sleeping with his wife.
Yes.
There's also like overseas too. Like in the Malenia and Miquela episode, we talked about how Malenia was trained by a swordsman who flowed like water, and he wore like a certain garb that only came from outside. Like you can sail to the Lands Between, so there's a whole other world out there.
There's other like exotic continents and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Marika's the only one we know. Marika's the only one we know, but there will be other people that we do meet who are here. So, Belurat City, one of the first places you go in the game is the ruins of Belurat City, kind of just naturally in the DLC. If you just follow the ways things look like you should go, you'll probably end up there. That's the first place I went. It's the first place I see a lot of other people go. So, they used to just take the shamans and shove them in jars until they become...
Oh, there's jar dudes in the game though, like with arms.
These are old shamans that they shoved in jars and whipped with whips made out of teeth until their lesions would pus up, and they would just become the shape of the jar, and they just keep whipping them until they became these gross flesh monsters, which I took a picture of just the face of one. It's right next to the shaman village. You can see someone with their eyes closed and their bulging flesh.
There's like a rune carved into her forehead or whatever.
Yeah,
of an Erdtree, or maybe a shadowy Erdtree, huh?
Yeah.
Is that a Skadu tree?
A skidoo, a 2021 skidoo tree.
What's important about them is they're tortured people, and you can meet other people and they'd be like shamans. They were destined for the pot. Like there's no good shaman but a shaman in a pot.
Fucking potheads, am I right?
That's how they feel. Yeah, and you can find the tooth whip that they whip them with in game, and it talks about how
is it human teeth on it or is it like animal teeth?
It looks like human teeth. Yeah,
gross.
If anyone
chewing with, I hate that.
If any of the Lore Boys TM podcast hosts were to own a whip made with teeth, it would be Peter. Are we all in agreement there?
His dad would have got it from Arizona or something.
Yeah, I was going to say,
right? It would be some relic that Peter would own.
Yeah. It seems like a weird thing that would have been hung up in a barn that my dad came across. I guarantee it. Right?
Or one that you made yourself.
Would I make a tooth?
Would I make a tooth whip?
Am I that capable?
I don't know.
There's only one way to find out, I guess.
I remember being disappointed when I got my first wisdom tooth pulled. They had to break it into a bunch of pieces, and my dentist wouldn't let me keep it. And I was just like...
But dentist, you don't understand. I have a little man in a jar I gotta beat up.
Yeah. Well, after I explained that to her when I got my second one taken out, she did give it to me. So,
yeah, Doc, you don't understand, okay? This little jar fucker, you need some discipline.
Comes back into the room after the procedure, just rattling it in a pill bottle, just like, the jar guy, eh? And I'm like, you remembered.
Yeah, so America's people were likely tortured by the people of Ballarat back when the city was fully standing, long time ago. By the time we meet it, it's ruins. We'll learn why pretty soon.
Yeah, I wonder why torturing the children of that goddess would go wrong for them, huh?
She's not even a goddess yet, but she definitely would become one. And she probably got pretty mad about this, and it could have pushed her to seek out godhood and eventually mess the whole place up. But more on this after the break. Welcome back. So we left off with the scorned Marika putting all her friends in jars, beaten with teethy whips.
She put her friends in jars? I thought the people of Belarus.
Oh,
the people of the sovereign state of Belarus.
Ballarat.
Her friends.
The Belarusian dentist freaks or whatever.
Ballarat folks put them in a jar. She wasn't so happy about
Ballarat does sound like something that Joe Biden would say off the cuff, right?
Yeah. You needle knight Ballarat.
Yeah, exactly. Jack can't talk to me. Ballarat is needle knife.
Yeah. We used to eat ice cream, and then the ice cream make our teeth fell out. And we make whips out of it.
Trump would say needle knight. I think Sleepy Joe would say Ballarat for sure.
Ballarat,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, for all you Ballarats out there who are still playing the game, if you're worried about DLC lore spoilers, we're gonna get into endgame stuff here, talking about last boss, and some really big picture stuff that kind of Uno reverses what we thought about a lot of the game beforehand, before the DLC came
Before
out.
you go, listen.
Yeah.
Can I ask, why did you Google Shadow of the Erdtree lore if you didn't want to listen to that? Just ask. Please write to us. Contact at loreboyspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Something.
It's a good point. They're probably in for it. So this is where we get into the real juicy stuff.
Yeah, it's like fucking. It's like, please spoil Shadow of the Erdtree for me. It's like, these fuckers spoiled Shadow of the Erdtree for me.
Leave us an angry
exactly
review.
what I wanted.
Yeah, leave us an angry review like you did for the $55 game you bought and expected to be hard.
Loreboy's podcast too hard. Yeah. Those idiots never talk about the thing that I Googled.
We get to it.
So, this really cool picture, it's the one, it has like, it's reddish background with like, there's like a gaping hole with clouds in the back there.
I fucking accidentally clicked on it at some point when you were talking earlier, and I was like, oh my God, I had to close it.
This is very much that spooky Polish artist did this, like where he did like this cathedrals made of like finger bones, right?
Yeah. So this is called what is it called?
It looks like my ex-girlfriend.
These are called the Gates of Divinity, and those bodies are all horn sent. Those are the people of Bellarat that fucked with her people. Those are stacked up bodies, all of people who scorned her people. And these Gates of Divinity is where she ascended to godhood. You can kind of see her hand going out and the glimmer of what looks like grace or the Elden Ring above her.
She's like grabbing threads of light out of the air, right? To like lift herself up. It's pretty cool.
It looks like she's doing like a Naruto helicopter move where she spins her hands, like she holds her hands right above her head with her arms straight and just spins her little hands fast enough that she makes herself into a helicopter.
I've seen that in a Star Wars cartoon. Do they do that in Naruto?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, wait, no. It
reminds me of the
in,
tricks that the Naruto guys do.
It was in Jedi Fallen Order. The Inquisitors can fly with their lightsabers because they rotate, and I remember like some fucking dumb nerd was just like, you can't fly with light," and I'm like, they're wizards, dude. Like,
we actually found out recently on a Lore Boys episode that photons have mass and can propel you. You can propel yourself.
And also, candle flames are a solid. So, like, do you know what a lightsaber's made out of? You fucking idiot.
Yeah. Well, two pillars of horny bodies all stacked up could also propel you into godhood.
Right. Yeah. This is this image. So it's these two mountains of bodies, and they're kind of like reaching out to her in the center, and there's like a gate in the middle. Very reminiscent of, and this is just for Saucy and you, James, probably, but very reminiscent of Malazan, the realm of the dead. Hood's realm is the gates to the realm of death are made up of the bodies of the dead, essentially. Like purgatory, the bodies that Hood has decided to punish, I guess, are used as the gates building blocks.
When are you guys going to pill me on Malazan? Every time you talk about it, I'm just like, damn, it's cool.
If you
ever have time in your life to read 3 million words, it's fantastic.
But it's insane, yeah.
Maybe I'll put it on when I finish.
Well, the audiobooks
finish my next comic.
If you ever get, I think, like, if you have a Spotify subscription, I think Spotify gives you like 15 hours of free listening a month for audiobooks at this point. Or if you have like Amazon Prime, you get a free audiobook a month.
Oh, I do have Prime, yeah.
I don't even think I liked reading it until a million words in. Like I was okay with it, but I really had to push myself. Like I've heard of people describing fantasy books as like climbing a wall for world building or whatever. And like some people, it's like a gentle slope up. Some people, it's like just like going up a mountain or whatever. And with Erickson, it feels like clawing your way up like a brick wall at the beginning. But once you get in,
especially the beginning, yeah. And there's definitely peaks and valleys. Like book 2, the Chain of Dogs and Deadhouse Gates, Coltane, like all that shit is fantastic. But there's always like, it's fantasy books, so it's like you follow one character's point of view, and it's like, oh, I'm really invested in this character. Then you'll jump to another character's point of view, and you're like, I don't know what's going on here. And this priest who had his hands cut off before the story started, I don't understand what his deal is. And it turns out after 3 million words, you never really find out what his fucking deal was. So.
Yeah.
He gets cut apart, or he watches his pet demon frog get cut apart and then gets cut apart shortly after. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. That was 7 books to get there. Cool.
Yeah. But anyways, you have to read 3 million items to get the story out of this one. Pretty similar world building.
Yeah.
So her ascent to godhood, we know that you have to go to the Gates of Divinity. It seems like there's a lot of sacrificial bodies of her enemies there. And it seems like the outer gods, they're kind of attracted to this mass tragedy or like these huge wars or these things. So she seems to have attracted the greater will, who eventually sent the Elden Ring to the lands between, where she ended up. But her relation and how she kind of got in contact with the greater will and how she ascended into godhood is still left up to us. Unclear, but Lore Boys canon. She stacked enough bodies that she got the attention of a big god.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, excuse me. It's on brand for a lot of the writing and world building in every game that Miyazaki has directed, is that the pursuit of divinity or immortality or whatever is like phenomenally evil and misguided. So like the fact that these kind of like vague, weird gods that he's set up in this one, or I guess that the team is set up in this one, not that he's writing this entire thing by himself, is like, I know we focus on directors. Credit to everyone who worked on this, obviously. It's like, it does make sense that like the Lore Boys canoning here does make sense because like there are no good gods in any of these stories. So the fact that they are just attracted to death and war would make sense.
It is
also
oops all Icarus, like every single one of his stories is like just every single one of them is like the hubris of those who flew too close to the sun, essentially, right?
Yes,
So.
yeah.
There's more turmoil and stuff, and Scarlet Rot and Formless Mother gods also get pulled into DLC areas. There is a Scarlet Rot boss. There is a Formless Mother area, I think, in Prospect Town. So it's probably the mass tragedy that attracts the attention of these gods because they don't really show up in the lands between until shit starts happening where they kill all the giants, and then like their old god definitely feels that one. There's stuff with dragons that's still like Placidusax is a thing, but I don't want to get into that right now. But anyways,
did you say Placidusax?
Yeah, he's the big dragon you can fight.
Great name.
Yeah.
A lot of the dragon gods, because I've watched like speedruns or just like boss fights or whatever, the big gods all have like SAXX as like the end of their name. So there's like Fortisax.
It is
Sax.
Oh, so they all got their names when they were 13 on a messaging board in 2004 when they were trying to circumvent the language filter and call themselves sexy, and they would say, "Oh, Placid Saxy."
He thought he was he saw that alligator movie or whatever, Lake Placid. He's like, I'm a lizard too. Placidusax. That's me, dude. Yeah.
Oh shit, he just like me for real.
Yeah, for real, bro. Anyways, okay, so that crazy Gates of Divinity shit with all the bodies.
Yes.
Big spoiler, that's the arena for the last boss of the DLC.
Cool.
So that's where you fight Miquela in some form or another.
Oh, you fight Marika. Or
Miquela,
excuse me. Sorry.
Miquela's or sort of. We'll get to how it's kind of messy, but Marika you fight in the main game, but in a different place.
And for your final test, you must kill a child. How fantastic would it be if he was just like a one-hit kill? Like just like
well, that's been done in other Souls games, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like the last boss of Demon's Souls is just the actual body of King Alant is just a blob. Jamie, on stream, you did the Witch of Izalith, and she's just like turned herself into a bug and has 1 HP, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to introduce.
So the one-hit
character.
kill on a kid would be on brand, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he has his own plans, which we're gonna get into. But that's big spoiler territory, so we'll get there towards the end. But I need to introduce another character, another son of Marika. So he's not even on a family tree I could find just yet. But Mesmer, he's the boss I'm currently stuck on in game. I haven't attempted him since I rage quit on a Monday, I think. Or no, on Sunday.
Are you stuck on him or are you mesmerized?
Dude, yeah, he's a snake man. And check him out. He's the picture of the guy who's holding his palm upright with fire in it, and he has red hair and like a snaky crown on.
The camera work during the transition from stage 1 to stage 2, because you had stage 1 down pat when I was watching you.
It was scripted. It was scripted at a certain point. I was like, go in. I know this. He's gonna land here. Double dodge. I get a hit. Do the summon. That stage 1 was good. Stage 2, I was fucked.
You almost no hit stage 1 multiple times while I was watching. The camera work in the transition cutscene from stage 1 to stage 2 is so fucking cool. It is unreal. It's like shit I'm gonna steal in the future. Like it's so good.
Morphs into like these giant snakes that like come in and you have to like dodge these snake heads. And then he like goes back to himself and he's like resting for a second, but then he's gonna throw more fucking fire shit and snake things at you. But it's terrifying and really cool. And all the boss fights honestly are like visually stunning.
Yeah.
So much that like the first time you're gonna die just to be like watching it almost
distracted.
Yeah.
Basically, Ethan, if you haven't seen it, he has basically Dishonored Blink, but instead of like rocketing forwards or turning into a cloud of smoke, he turns into like a gigantic snake, flies through the air, crashes into the ground, and then like reforms out of the snake head where it landed. It's insane.
Yeah, I wonder if I can get a little GIF going here, and it doesn't seem like there's a great one.
I can watch the fight.
Yeah. Anyways, So you meet him. We find out he is another son of Marika that isn't on this family tree. We don't know who the dad is, but there's a theory that maybe him and Malenia are sisters. Who is your maiden?
Who's the other snake guy you fight?
I do remember him. He has got the Ricard.
Ricard. Oh, Ricard.
Yeah.
Ricard is Ranna is Ricard's mom with Radagon.
Because I saw in the cutscene he does talk about like the umbral serpent, which is like maybe the snake thing that corrupted him. Like maybe their siblings, like the brothers got into snake magic while the sisters were into the moon and that shit.
It's true. And Ranna, he's actually protected by Ranala's sister, Ranna.
That's so hard to follow.
Yeah.
What?
Can I just say, I felt like a sleeper cell being fucking activated when I pulled Ricard there, and then you guys started talking, and I was just like, yeah, I don't fucking remember. I was like, he was a snake man with a funny face. Like, that's all I remember.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
I put a picture of the one right after the snake man where there's a woman in armor who has a blue sword and a red sword.
Mm-hmm.
She's in Shadowkeep, and she's also protecting Mesmer. So with Pete's theory, if Ricard would be like related to Mesmer, which means Ranna would be his mom, which means Ranna would be his aunt. So maybe his aunt is protecting him. We know that Ranna and Mesmer are on the same side, but we don't really know their direct. Right now, all we know is Marika is mommy, and that's all. That's all we know for Mesmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, word of advice for anybody out there: don't just rearrange all your kids' names letters to give your second kid a name, because Ranna and Ranna is really hard to follow.
Yeah. They just keep doing it too. They just keep making more names and throwing them in there, and then they got Ranny, Renna, all the rest of them too.
Dumb as hell.
Yeah, that's okay. Gives me a job, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you do for a living? I read stupid fucking names to people on the internet, I guess. I don't know.
I texted my dad today.
There's a really old bonus where I was like, guys, you want to know a secret? I fucking hated all the Elden Ring lore that I learned.
I remember that. Yeah. But
I mean, researching it sounds like a nightmare.
I'm okay with it now. Now I have my head wrapped around it, but yeah.
Yeah, but it is like it's like learning a foreign language. Just like trying to remember who Ranna and Ranna are and how they're different. I texted my dad today just about some stuff at work, and he was just like, "The longest job you've ever had is your podcast, and now that you make money off it," he's just like, "Don't quit your day job. That's your day job now." Because I was six years at like the financial place, and 7 years on this now, so new record.
Yeah. So someone who helped Mesmer is Ranna. But basically the whole world is all fucked up now in the Shadowlands because Marika left Mesmer behind to just lead a crusade on fucking up everyone. So Mesmer kills everything's in ruins because Mesmer fucked it all up, and now he's locked up in Shadowkeep and just abandoned there by his mom. And his mom went to the lands between and just started a new family and fucked up.
Yeah, started having sex with herself and then died.
That's on brand for her, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So this whole world is fucked thanks to Marika and the Golden Order. So Miquela, why is he here in the Land of Shadow? That's the whole reason we start here is we grab onto Miquela's hand and we get launched into the world of Shadow, or the Land of Shadow. And he's shedded his body. So he's not physically here. That's why this area is like, is it under? Is it in the middle? Does it really exist in a physical space? Or is it more of just like a magical thing? Because he left his body behind in the cocoon.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say spoilers maybe. The cocoon doesn't open. You don't get to see what he looks like, right? It's still, he's just like the witch hand that is pouring out of it.
You'll meet him in the game, but he's really like a ghostly figure. And you find something called Miquela's crosses all over the place, which just look like a line with a circle and a cross in the middle of it, and it's just light. And that's where you find your Erdtree fragments, so you're encouraged to go find them all. And every Miquela's cross you find, there'll be like a little voice line, or a little text line like, "I abandoned here first the flesh of my body. I abandoned here my left arm, for I will never touch myself again. Here are my fears. I've shed them too.
Try finger butthole.
Yeah. Here's my
Trifle,
tax
Bartholomew.
forms. I will never pay taxes again.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so you're just following Miquela turning into the Unabomber and going off the grid, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah.
And
Simba, this is the recipe for anthrax.
Remember who you are. You are my son. He's just talking to the Unabomber.
Yeah, so Miquela the Kind is what he's referred to by all these NPCs at first. Might not be so kind after all, because when you enter the Shadow Keep for the first time, that's where you meet Mesmer and Ranna. It's like the one fortress that is still together because the people who fucked everything up took refuge in there. So you go into
obviously. Come on. You don't want to fuck up your... It's like, destroy everything. It's like, oh, do you think Mom meant my own castle, too?
No.
Should I live in a jar in the shaman village?
When you enter the DLC, you see that giant shadowy tree and you see that giant castle, and that's the big Shadow Keep. It's introduced to you almost right away, at least in your vision, yeah. So as soon as you enter for the first time, it kind of scared me because it said, you get a notification on the bottom of your screen, a great rune has been broken. And then like, what is it? A curse has been lifted, or like a spell has been lifted. And I was like, what? Did I just like fuck everything up? Did I miss like all these NPC things?
Yeah.
Like
classic FromSoft game. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Do I gotta fucking restart the game now?
That's how I felt.
80 hours in.
Yeah.
You can miss some voice lines, but what really happens is that's Miquela sees you going in and he shatters his own great rune as one last thing that he's getting rid of his like mortal coil, I guess. Like he breaks his own great rune, which is his piece of the Elden Ring, and all the NPCs who were silver tongue charmed into joining forces to save him all come too. We're like, oh, we don't really like this guy very much.
That guy kept calling me Needle Dick. I'm gonna stab him.
So yeah, if you go back and talk to them, like the Mohg, the guy who supports Mohg, was like, yeah, one time I fought Miquela. We straight up like battled to the end, and like he wasn't chill to me at all. And they stopped calling him Miquela the Kind. So as soon as we go into the Shadow Keep, he starts to break from his influence. He still can do silver tongue things. When you fight him in the end, he's part of the last boss battle. And he can actually silver tongue you. And one of the lose conditions, if he silver tongues you, you just go under his control. And it says like soul lost or something like that. And you just lose instead of you died. So
interesting.
Cool.
Okay.
So yeah, you can still get silver tongue by him even without the great rune. So be careful.
Is there a status bar?
You just you hit this child with a fucking dragon's tooth, and he's like, "Ow, that really hurt." And you're like, "Oh fuck, I'm so sorry. Oh shit, sorry." And then you lose.
I was just thinking like because you have your status bars in Souls games, like Bleed, Frost, or whatever, the build up, but instead of the icon, it's just Chris Hansen's face, and when that fills up, you can like, successfully charmed by a little boy
To charm a predator.
You guys, that's gonna be even more relevant soon.
Oh no.
Yeah. So once you go deeper into the Shadow Keep, you can find an item called the Secret Rite Scroll, which has the following quote: "A lord will usher in a god's return, and a lord's soul will require a vessel." And this is a prophecy about the gates of divinity. And we find out from an NPC that this is the big like, you guys were wrong about everything in the base game. Miquela not chill at all. He wasn't used and abused by Mohg. He manipulated Mohg into taking him into Blood God territory to get to attract his god to get into the Shadowlands. So he Chris Hansen like made the guy come over and feed him the 6-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mohg just they're like, no, the kid was asking for it. You don't understand.
He paid.
He tricked me.
He Venmo'd me the money for the twisted tea.
Really though, Mohg wasn't under his own volition. He was silver tongued into taking a boy into his bed.
I mean, the guy literally can't speak. He can only just say Mohg, Mohg, Mohg. Like,
You're
Take some
right.
sympathy
More
on
boys
him.
can.
Yeah.
This is a real. This is the real Lenny of the episode. Not even that horse named Lenny. You know what I mean? He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was
So,
capable of.
Oh,
just goes-
Lenny. No, Lenny, you can't do that. You crushed Curly's hand. Lenny. I know you're sorry. I remember the book.
Yeah. So when it comes to guys going after
Big
little
dumb
boys,
champ, just like Lenny.
yeah. So remember, you always got to read out both sides, right, guys? Right? It's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
one way.
yeah, right.
No.
This is the lamestream media that did this to us.
Yes.
I resent you saying the game had a "you were wrong" moment, because this whole time I've just been saying whatever Pete says is right, because he's obviously the expert on this whole stuff. So when you say I'm wrong, it's actually Pete was wrong, and I just hitched my wagon to his pony.
Yeah.
His
Well,
pony
there's
named
more.
Lenny.
There's more to Miquela's deceptions.
My little crippled pony.
Yeah. He planned on Mohg dying so he could use Mohg's body and leave Mohg's soul lost and wandering. So Mohg thought he was bringing him in to become a consort, but really Miquela was using him to get his body to put Radagon's soul into it. So Mohg is going to get kicked out, and Radagon's going to be the consort using Mohg's body, which is like a humiliating twist of fate for Mohg, because he did his whole thing to be like part of the Formless Mother.
Right.
But now his body gets to do it, but he doesn't get to be any part of it. Radagon is going to take over his body and become the consort for Miquela, because
he is in a lot of ways the ultimate representation of formless, right?
Yeah, if
you got your own body, like no body,
Yeah.
that's like you got no form, right?
Yep.
Sorry, maybe I missed a beat. Why is Miquela doing this for Radagon?
So we learned that Miquela respects Radagon quite a lot. And this is going to be an Uno reverse on a couple other things that we saw. So in their childhood, Miquela saw Radagon as a lord, his strength and his kindness that stood in a stark contrast with their afflicted selves. And so Miquela made his heartfelt wish that Radagon would one day become his king consort. And we found out...
Sorry to interrupt. I know it's super confusing. I just want to make sure. Radagon is the one who was holding up the stars, riding the pony, who Malenia, cursed with the Scarlet Rot, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is all part of Miquela's meddling in the end. So this is why Radagon and Mohg need to die for the DLC, because we need Mohg's body and Radagon's soul to live in Mohg's body.
Okay.
Canonize why you got to kill two bosses. Miquela hates the Golden Order and what it did to everyone in the lands between, but he thinks if he ascends, he could do it different this time, huh?
Yeah, that always works, especially in Belarus.
Surely.
Yeah. So the final fight ends up being you against Radagon. So Radagon without his horse. Since you're in the lands, you're in the Shadowlands, he doesn't actually have Mohg's body. He just looks like a young Radagon.
Wait, Radagon or Miquela?
Radagon and Miquela fight together. Miquela's on his back as a little spirit. Radagon is his consort. So you fight Radagon, consort of Miquela, as the last fight.
Well, Pete, you were saying that the one-hit kill has already been done in Souls game, but the little man on the back of the big guy has also already been done.
It has also been done. It is the twin princes again. I know. When I saw the picture, I was just like, but I do respect Elden Ring overall. It's just FromSoft's greatest hits, right? It is just they'd remastered their old ones. They released their old album with the remasters. You've got the spooky gods. You got the little guy on the big guy's back. You've got
Poison Swamp.
Poison.
Oh, don't even get me fucking.
You got a whole fucking god dedicated to the Poison Swamp. In this one,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. This has been deified at this point. The thing that maybe quit Sekiro. Yeah, it is their greatest hits, and I thought it was so funny when I saw that picture. I'm just like, damn, Lothric again, eh? Let's go.
So something really interesting, when the final fight's over, if you beat him, get through it all, you get a flashback, and we see Malenia and Radagon, which is my second last photo there, and we saw this in the base game. Malenia whispers something to Radagon, but we didn't know what she said. And people were always speculating what was she said to Radagon. This is before she went nuclear on him. Miquela awaits the promised consort. So Miquela sent Malenia out to meet Radagon to get him on her side. Radagon probably fought back, which made her explode to kill him. So Miquela not only, and then Malenia ends up dying because of this, because she explodes and then ends up back at the Erdtree where she runs into the player character later and goes full Scarlet Rot. So he killed his sister, he killed Radagon, he killed Mohg, he killed so many of his like half-brother demigods through his meddling.
This might be I mean, I do like it that it's kind of the first time FromSoft has done like a very direct plot in Souls.
Yep.
I know like Armored Core is the same thing. This is maybe too close to just Dark Knight Joker cell phone in prison planning, where like all the dominoes have fallen into place.
I don't know.
It's all very convenient.
I mean, yeah, I don't
mind it, but
I don't necessarily know the gap or the bridge yet. But like to your point, like maybe that's what Radon needed to hear, and maybe they just needed to have that fight for like show, and like Radon,
we don't know,
didn't necessarily fight back. Yeah, I'm just speculating at this point, but like, maybe Radon didn't even fight back and just like, yep, we've done our part. Now you go nuclear. I'm gonna go into a coma until your boy Miquela shows up to whisk me away, right?
But like, was he planning for his stepdad's Tarnished to show up and solve all his problems? Is also the thing.
Everything that I read is like Tarnished is outside of his influence of the Silver Tongue thing.
Right.
So everything that points so far is that you can't be influenced by a Silver Tongue except in the very last fight. Like you're not part of the NPCs who showed up to be like, kindly Miquela, let's go help him. But we do. I like how they flipped it on our head, because you think of Miquela as like so out of control, born a child. His sister fights everything for him.
I was also born a child, for the record.
Forever a child. Forever a child.
Damn, Peter.
Yeah.
I can't believe you had to go through that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Neil, or what's that song, Forever Young? But instead it's just, I once was young. It's like, all of those were,
I want to be forever, baby.
Yeah. So you think that he was just like stolen at the last moment from being a god, that his sister died because she was trying to protect him, all this stuff too. It's flipped. No, he put his sister in the scenario to die. He was stolen on purpose, or we don't know if fully stolen on purpose, but he definitely influenced Mohg. He fucked over Radon. And he basically wanted to selfishly just get into the Lands of Shadow to ascend, to make things better. But then in the end, he's just as bad as like Marika with Godfrey killing everything in the lands between to have the Golden Order rule. It's just a different flavor of shitty godhood.
And
oops, all fascism.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, like, to kind of correct myself, and like the Joker's very convenient plan, the dominoes falling exactly out, which you can't plan for. I was gonna say, well, his plan. Never mind. His plan would have taken Malenia, which just sounds like I'm talking about one of his stepsisters. So,
yeah. But anyways, that's the broad strokes of the DLC. That's the big reveal. There's going to be a lot more like little details are just still coming out, where it's been out for like 6 days now. So, very early, but
at time of recording, not at time of release. Of course.
No, I know. I'm more shocked that it, for some reason, it felt like this thing I haven't played came out months ago. Just from being tired.
No, it's honestly was it was a bit of a sprint to get here, just even 6 days, but we got
very
the broad
cool.
strokes.
Can I say very cool? I'm very critical of the FromSoft. Like, I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine as well, where I'm a big fan of exploratory storytelling. I believe I've said it before on the podcast. Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games. I love that way of delivering a story, and I hate the way that FromSoft does it. Like, I think it's bad and messy and garbled and jumbled. I'm super glad that they did a direct story, and there's something here. There's a big twist. Like, that is all fantastic. I'm super happy to see it. So
I love that I was wrong about this DLC 2 years ago, because I've been disappointed.
I don't know. I still kind of think you're right. Look at how many hours you have in Dark Souls 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm wrong.
Don't call me a mortling.
I forgot about that. But off of Mortling's point, it's like that's what the noise they would make.
That is what a Mortling would say.
Yeah, clip that, put it on the soundboard. Because I was really disappointed when I played the expansions for Dark Souls 3. It was just two parts of one story that was kind of broken off from the main thing with like the painter and Gale, right? Where like they're the primary characters completely disconnected. I'm glad they finally did it. I'm glad they gave us 30 people with the same name, and there's just a through line about one of them, right?
Wait, should I make a bold DLC prediction? DLC 2?
Is there another one?
Do it. There will be.
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know if there will. So we got
popularity for sure. They did they do 2 for 3?
Yeah. Well,
I'm pretty sure
no,
they did, right?
It was part 1 and 2. There was Ashes of Ariandel and then the Ringed City, but it was one expansion. It was the same people, right?
What do you mean it was one expansion?
It's just like DLCs, part 1, part right? 2. Part 1, part
2. That's 2 DLCs, Peter.
But it's one story. Sorry, is what.
Yeah, sorry. The Elden Ring DLC 2 is also going to be this story.
Right, yeah.
So, this one I'm a lot less confident about. Last time I had like a 3-point PowerPoint where I was like, Miquela, he has the last great rune. He's scorned by his sister who's dead, and you as a player character beat her, and he didn't know yet. Blah, blah, blah. This one, this is a bigger guess. We got the Shadowland or the Lands of Shadow, the lands between. Why would it be between if there wasn't another?
Oh, Lands of Light.
Oh, yeah. If we went up. If we go up.
I understand
Golden Order shit.
Your shakiness, because that is just like a symbolism point, which would make sense if they hit. I think the FromSoft games do a good job with symbolism. So I'll wait to see what Peter has to say about it as the resident Dark Souls expert, but I like your idea.
It's a much shakier guess. I don't even know that they'll do another full DLC, but this one's awesome. If you do want a hard experience, if you want just more Elden Ring, it's a ton of game. I've had it for 6 days, and I want to play more because I haven't, even at the place where I'm stuck, I haven't been able to explore all the nooks and crannies of where I'm at yet. So, is good fun. If you like Elden Ring, you'll like Elden Ring DLC, unless it's too hard for you. But
unless you can't finish the Pinocchio game and are a huge bitch in that.
All right. Well, thanks. If you want to find me, I took a week off this week. It was a little much for me, but twitch.tv/LoreboyJames. I'll be back strong next week, ready to go and give you guys more content. So that's on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 to 10-ish area. But yeah.
From 7, let's say. From 7.
Yeah.
FromSoft.
Yep. From Soft-ish.
Soft 7.
That's
needle dick after that.
Exactly. If you want to see me go from soft to needle dick, then go to Twitch. Yeah.
Welcome to Needle Dick at Night.
Where if we talk to kids, it's because they forced us to do it. Okay.
This is child entrapment. Okay.
Yeah, this is more like adult entrapment, if you ask me. Peter, what's going on in the world of Instagram?
At Loreboys Podcast on Instagram. I know it's slow. Summer's busy. Honestly, it's crazy. The major parts of the comic are completely done at this point. I got stoned as fuck and listened to Jamie stream Elden Ring and worked on it for like 7 hours last weekend.
The most beautiful thing is that it's going to end up releasing Valentine's Day 2025 at this point.
I hope so. I think it'd be so fun.
And then then you and Jamie can revisit an old argument, and you can say that no, I was never wrong. It was always wrong.
I listened to the Elden Ring on the Elden Ring episode from 2022. I'm like, oh yeah, Pete's got a comic he's working on. We've been promoting Squarespace for 3 years at this point. They haven't helped us at all, but it's coming soon, TM. And that was 2 years ago. So get it in before the next Elden Ring, or else we'll have to talk about it again.
I hope so. I mean, like I've said a million times, the amount of amateur mistakes I made that I had to go back and fix fucked up so much of my timeline. Because at the end, when I was like, damn, I'm so good at this, and going back to like 18-month-old work, I was like, if somebody told me I couldn't read, I would believe them with the quality of work that I had at that point.
It's really hard to do a project that big, but we're in the calls to action now. So thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to get in touch with us, consider joining the Discord, discord.gg/loreboys. There's a link in the description. Or you can email us, contact@loreboyspodcast.com. or loreboyspodcast@gmail.com.
Mhm.
I don't think the first one was right.
The last one was right, for sure.
Yeah, the last one's right. loreboyspodcast@gmail.com. That one's right. If you like the show, consider leaving us a review. 5 stars, 2 thumbs, golden nugget, whatever
You guys-
you would like.
At the
You guys
top,
on
Jamie
Patreon-
mentioned YouTube. Give us some positive reinforcement on YouTube. It is utterly abandoned, but maybe it could be a good thing to work on.
You guys on Patreon, if you noticed that my voice sounds better this week, I use the money you pay to invest in audio quality. I got a new mic, so whenever you guys do that stuff, it helps the show.
Thanks for the tee up. We do have a Patreon, patreon.com/theloreboys, where you can get access to Pete and Jamie fighting for 30 minutes a week.
We did fight for half an hour.
I know you guys didn't fight.
I didn't feel like we were fighting. I didn't feel like we were fighting.
Out of proportion, really, but
No, he is. Yeah. Ethan
yeah.
wanted to Google games on sale that he'll never play.
Yeah. No, I mean we put out bonus content every week. It's more of us just chatting, less focus on a particular topic. You can also request episodes via Patreon. Sometimes we do polls. Sometimes we just give a little bit more credence to somebody who has a red name on the Discord versus a green name. Sorry, green namers, but it's true. So check it out. Patreon.com/theloreboys.
Discord.gg/loreboys as well. There's if you go into the announcements, I had a breakup since the last time we recorded, and I a lady dumped me after 24 hours, and I had a lot to say about it. There's a Twitch VOD that jumps right to my rant. So you can just go into announcements on discord.gg/loreboys, and you can listen to the 30 minutes of me just wondering why I'm not good enough, but also being a little angry. But yeah, it's all out there. It's all out there. Yeah.
Anyone who doesn't trust Patreon, we do, of course, have Lore Boys Prime service, which we've always offered. And obviously, you're getting tickets this week, tickets to the Jamie and Peter cage match, where we're going to throw them into a cage, let them Hell in a Cell it out between each other. Now, originally, I was thinking like, hey, Jamie's a big guy, you know, he's pretty robust, I would say. But then I got to thinking like, oh man, Pete has all that experience in Dark Souls, so he's probably going to beat Jamie in a fight, honestly, because he's got so much Dark Souls experience.
Parry. Yeah.
No,
he's going to dodge roll.
I was going to say, I'm not a parry god. It's all about the iframes, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think Jamie will honestly ever hit him. But if you guys want to check it out, we do. I mean, the show's coming up. We are looking for some
he
support.
Just hits me. I go to one knee and he needle dicks me in the back.
That's
Jamie has a lot of HP, but
Pete's sword art is needle dick.
He's fairly easy to kite and then stab between the shoulder blades with my thin penis.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're interested, just shout Lore Boys at your local neighbor, and they'll get in touch, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And I think that would cost you Lore Boys.
Lore Boys.